Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Market Movers, where we take a look at hot spots in the markets for today, and we do some live analysis for day trading. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me, Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Welcome back, everyone. Glad to have you on this morning. It is a bit of a quiet start to the week. We had the best week in equities this year last week, so we're coming off of a pretty strong week. It is a little bit of a quiet open. We do not have a whole bunch of news this week. We do have CPI, so some inflation data coming in on Thursday. We're definitely looking forward to that. That should be an interesting day. Other than that, not a whole lot to speak of this week. I know there are going to be some more earnings that come out because we still are in earnings season. For instance, Disney, I know, is on Wednesday. That could potentially move the Dow. Another subscription-based model technology company, but it is just simply a quiet start to the week. Now, what are we going to be looking at today? We do have to take a peek over at oil. Oil did get up through $93 a barrel on Friday, sold off down to 91, and we'll take a look at some technical levels there because it's rebounding back. We're seeing some movement in gold and the Aussie dollar. So we're going to take a peek at that as well, and then we'll run through the indices. Probably a good idea is to take a look at where we are in the major indices, because that's one thing that we will be getting a bit of news on. People will be talking about that, particularly after the week we had last week. Before Brian and I jump into it, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. I am just going to flip over. I'll probably save some of this. I'll wait until we get into the equities, because there are some interesting levels going on. If you take a look at some of the Fibonacci retracement levels, but I'll hold that. Brian, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over to you, and we'll start with oil. We'll take a look at the commodities, oil and gold, and then the Aussie dollar, and then we'll finish up with equities.
Yeah, I mean, right now, today's not a very, very big news day. 10:45, we have the ECB president speaking today, and then New Zealand later at 9:15 tonight. So super, super small day as far as kind of the headlines coming through. Again, with the Olympics out there going on right now, again, there's just not a lot planned today. Tomorrow morning, basically, it's tomorrow night, New Zealand. I mean, it's just not a very high. You guys can see the filter in here. It's all countries, all high and medium, all types of releases, and there's still nothing for tomorrow. So very, very kind of quiet. Even the headlines, not really a whole lot here. China's experts expect a healthy, stable economic growth. Talking about higher interest rates. Can we afford it? You bet. They're talking about how the Feds can definitely do more. So really not a whole lot of moving. In the last 24 hours, nothing is really moving. I mean, the biggest one is the pound yen at 49. So just not a lot there. Looking at oil's got a little bit of a rally. It's pulling back right now. The Europeans kind of drew it down, and at 4 o'clock, it kind of took off. There is a level just a little bit higher, and this is really the only thing that I have for oil. There's this bit here, and then there's a little bit of a kind of a racetrack scenario trade setup right there, just because we had this big burst. So really 92.73, and then on the downside over here, we had 89.93. So not really a ton here for oil. Like I said, it broke through 93 last week, but right now I think we're more range bound. There's no real news until Wednesday for oil. No major headlines either. So not tons we can do with this one, unfortunately. But that's it. We got to wait and see. Again, typically Monday mornings we tend to see oil strength, so I wouldn't be surprised at the open if we kind of rally up. And then the question is, can we burn through that 93? Is the major question that I would have. So it could be a potential 10:30 reversal as well. So.
All right, that's on oil, yes?
Yep, that was oil.
Yeah. All right.
The other one was gold, you said?
Yeah, let's say, yeah. Meanwhile, I'm typing answers into the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
mean, gold was the other thing because it did kind of find some support, and I know that the Aussie dollar has been the probably the one currency that's been moving, and we know that that's linked to gold a bit. So taking a peek there probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, running fib levels, you can see that there's an area of two tested touches before, right around, kind of right where we're at right now, right at the 1816. There is a little bit of a decent kind of pullback base and then kind of pop back down again, just a little bit higher here at 1819. So, it's at a level. I mean, fib traders taking it from last week's high to low. We're kind of right in that proximity to 50% right now. So, wouldn't necessarily be surprised if we see dollar strength coming in and maybe gold weakness. Silver's up 1.93 and it keeps going kind of pulling back a little bit. So both of the two commodities are actually more in a spot where I would say, oh, they're looking more like on a kind of a short. But Monday mornings are always a little bit funky when that comes in because again, no real major institutions or banks. I mean, they're not in there, but the big retail trader coming in Monday morning is really where a lot of the movement occurs. But right now, again, 50% retracement level in gold, and again, there's a level just a little bit higher that I kind of like a little bit better, but there'll be people stepping in. And again, that 50%, just so you guys can see it on the screen a little better, is
Yeah,
right
where
here
is
at 1816.
okay?
It's right here from high to low in the 30-minute.
Yeah, well, we certainly have held that 1800 level, so I
Mm-hmm.
know that it got actually decimated and pushed through there, but the fact that it came back and it's holding 1800 again is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I would say if it starts to roll to the downside, I would say that that's probably where it sits and starts basing. And the question is, do we test down to the 1790 again?
Right.
So I don't know. There's
The
been
if then that, right?
yeah, I have heard like drop. I had to drop one son off. The other one's home sick today. Um, I have heard a few different people talking about 3 raises, 4 raises, 5 raises, what it's going to look like. So there's a lot of talk of how many raises and how big it's going to be. They're talking about the first quarter being a little bit slow, but then second quarter picking up, and then at the end of the year, the economy taking a dip and a dive again. So that's probably going to weigh because that seems to be what all the talking heads are talking about this morning. So again, rising interest rates, but kind of things turning to the downside. It's not like a very lofty kind of outlook. And
Yeah,
they were talking about PCE this morning as well being lower. So these are all things that the retail trader will look at. And again, I would say the gold is probably more of a short today.
yeah. And by the way, you did mention something about the economy, and this actually goes to the
Mm,
question that I was just typing in there. And I know you and I talk about this a lot. I hope everyone does remember and realize that the economy and the stock market
yeah, they're not the
are
same.
two very different
Yeah,
things.
totally different.
Very different things. And I know that we tend to link them in our head, and we tend to think that the health of the economy is represented, or the weakness in the economy is represented in the stock market. But understanding those fundamentals and macroeconomic impacts to the broader economy, but then understanding they can be very different than the stock market itself, because although they tend to kind of go together a bit, companies, I mean, right now our economy might be turning a little bit weaker, and we might have, especially if we start raising interest rates uh, quickly, but that doesn't necessarily mean that companies aren't going to continue to make money hand over
Mm,
fist.
yeah.
So
It's happened. Exxon's
that's a
record
challenge.
profits were in 2008 when everybody was getting crushed when we had like $4 gas. Exxon was record profits, and look at Amazon right now. 4-year high
Right,
for inflation. Everything is super super expensive, but they're making more money than they ever have. So
right. The, and it doesn't look like that's going to slow down. Their revenues are through the roof. Now, some of their profits might ease up a little bit as a percentage, but it doesn't mean they're not still going to be making massive
yeah,
profits.
I mean, feel bad for the
So,
banks, right? They only made 131 billion. So I mean, it was slow trading in December. So I mean,
right.
gotta
Uh,
hate when that happens. They only made 130.
Was that sarcasm?
Little bit.
I think I recognize that. All right, let's jump over. Let's jump over to the equities and just take a peek here. You know what? For what, just quickly, and I've actually think knockouts can be kind of. I want to talk about
It's
those
it's
more as
early
we
week.
get.
It's knockout day. So
Let's
Monday
talk about
should be knockout day.
but what is it rather interesting is I am going to just drop up here. I know that you're going to cover the ES and the Nasdaq. I thought I would just take a quick peek at Fibonacci retracements just from uh, recent highs to recent lows, and you can see right here on the Dow. And I could probably make this a little bit bigger if you want. Let's get this out of the way. Oh, I might have made it too big. There we go. Is and I'm going to draw this on here too, just so you can absolutely see what I'm talking about. Is we are having a challenge right here at the
Mhm.
38 the 38% retracement level. Uh, we've hit it. I mean, we it looks like we actually opened right around there, but one, two, three times having a struggle. Do we get through this level? If we punch through it, I mean, certainly the 50% would become interesting because we know that it tends to pause at 50%, and if we can get through
Mhm.
there, I mean, it's just shy of the 61 level that we see that we've got where sellers start coming back in again. But the fibs do help. So when you start taking a look at some of these support and demand, support and resistance, supply and demand levels, and the fib retracements, those get kind of interesting. Let's.
Mhm.
I'm going to flip this over to you, and let's take a
Yeah.
look at the S and the Nasdaq
Yeah. I
as
mean,
well.
really, if you just took I mean, I think as far as levels and where we're at right now, I think it's important to note right now that the ES is at 4,500. That's 4,575. Right? That's a huge psychological level. You have YM at 35,019. So again, huge psychological level. And then Russell's at 2,000. So MQ is at 14,000, kind of close to that 750. So it's a quarterly level. But you have three major levels right now: 4,500, 35,000, and 2,000. So everything is poised right now in levels where price is going to get sucked back in again. So it's looking to be kind of an interesting Monday. Um, I would say right now, as far as ES goes, let me bring this down to a 15. You can see, I mean, we've kind of breached through. I would say right now, this is in a very slow, kind of grindy channel to the top side. We do have three higher highs here. So it does look like it's clear. We know we have sellers. And again, it was a Harry Potter level. We had a pick last week. It was tested. It touched at 45, 46. I would say definitely watch that level again. We know we at least have somebody up there. Um, Downside, I mean, this was a level we were talking about and a potential Harry Potter to the downside. So I would say we kind of have the same, we kind of have a level here and we have a level sitting, let's see, right here. And we're kind of smack dead in the middle. So I would say either of these two levels is decent. This could be a potential long at like a 1030 reversal if it comes down to there. Let me mark these two off just so they're easy to see. We can see the top one. I'm going to put this here. We'll turn that one green. As a potential reversal, I would want to see what time we hit it. I mean, if the overall sentiment today is super, super negative, it comes through and starts at base in this level, then yeah, we already know we got a racetrack scenario. We're looking to go short out this side. So let's put this down here and we'll turn that red. So again, could it pop? Yeah, it's only touched it once and had a nice bounce off of it. But we're sitting right in the middle. There's not really a zone even on the 15-minute that I would say, hey, listen, if it pulls back to here, great, 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 great buy. There's a
Right.
little one right there, and that may be the only thing. It may just grab that hiccup to go higher, but there's not a whole lot stopping onto the top side. So ES is kind of an interesting Monday. It's flat, although in here I'll draw it just so you guys know what I understand. You know what I
We're
mean?
kind of stuck in no man's land, just
Yeah,
coming into the beginning of the week after
yeah.
a
It's not.
wild, crazy week last week.
Yeah, it's not.
We're taking a
It's not. It's
pause.
not great, and we're kind of sitting in the middle.
Yep.
NQ. Again, we have a level sitting up there. It's been hit a few different times at this point. It was a nice little base. Again, if you wanted to run fibs off of it, you could run fibs down and say, "Oh, wait a second, 50%." Yeah, there's a 50% level right around that old one. It was a violated level, became a Harry Potter short. Again, confirmed it again. Two kind of front runs. It didn't really touch it, and then really a third front run. They haven't hit it. They keep hitting the 50. So there is at least some sellers sitting in that level. You can see the kind of from that level. So I would say 14,826 would be kind of what we're looking for. Again, zooming in, going to a 15-minute, it's pulling back into like a little zone right there. I don't love it. It's really, really tiny. Again, could be a Monday, but I mean, a lot of those people that I tell my students trade those 15-minute opening contracts. There's kind of a level there, but we'll see. Two more candles got to print. I would like it if it was down here better, but
Yeah.
and it's the same. This is the same one. Higher, higher, higher. Right. The lows are here, but then starting to accelerate a little bit up. We could you could run it. You could run it this way if you really wanted to,
Right.
but I would say right now we need some U.S. pressure in, and again, that'll be a trend line that people are looking for a break of that trend line. That'll be a long signal for a lot of people breaking that Globex high, but could it be a trap? Yeah, it absolutely could. But
Yeah.
I think the 14,862, and then again YM, you kind of covered that one, and then Russell being at 2,000 it was also kind of smack in the middle of sellers and buyers, but more or less looks the same. Grind higher, and piece on the bottom. So
Yeah. It
it's
just kind
Monday.
of it's one of those weeks, particularly when you consider what we had last week. The
Mm,
volatility last week was clearly uh, wild and crazy. You had
Yeah.
Facebook having the largest negative day for any stock in the
Yeah.
history of the stock market. And they
And the
wiped
and they're
out
losing subscribers.
215
It's I
billion.
don't know how they figured it out,
Yeah,
but yeah, they said
200.
they were actually losing numbers for the first
Yeah,
time ever.
$215 billion in one day in market cap, followed by the largest increase in any stock in a single day, Amazon. It was
At
just
least it wasn't
shy of,
Facebook.
yeah, Facebook. They
I know.
almost made, Amazon almost went up as much as Facebook went down.
Mm,
Facebook actually went down. The down moves tend to be bigger than the up moves, but it's just
yeah.
a very volatile week as people digest, what's going on in the economy, but then also what's going on in individual stocks and individual business
Yep.
models. And we should get a little bit more color commentary this week with a few more stocks giving their earnings. With that, any questions for Nadex? Please, anyone's got any questions, email us, customerservice@nadex.com. I'm also available, todd.rich@ig.com. Please feel free to email. We're available. Brian is also available. You got questions for Brian, please email him. support@keeptradingsimple.com. We are here to help. We're here to help you. That's what we do. So hopefully we can help you become a better trader. And with that, that's really just a quiet start to the week. We took a peek over there at oil. It came off its highs. Oh yeah, Facebook down 26%. That is just crazy from its highs. Oil, pulled back. It's actually starting to retrace a bit. Gold and the Aussie dollar in play a bit as well. And then we ran through the equities, but it is a quiet start. We'll see what happens once the retail traders get in there, but we are looking to open green at the moment. Brian and I will be back tomorrow morning. With that, if you like what you're getting, please give us a like. We do appreciate those. And we will see you tomorrow. Good luck in the markets, everyone.